Okay. We are going. We are live. Welcome, everyone. And I'm going to do my best to keep an eye on the chat. If you've got any questions or comments, put them in there. And if I don't see them as I'm going, I will make time afterwards. So recipe card is in the chat here, and my camera angle might not be the most flattering for me, but this recipe is pretty much all about the preparation. So hopefully this low angle is good for that. So we're making spring rolls, and the best part about this recipe is that it is completely customizable. Like there is some suggestions on that recipe card, but if you have different proteins, if you have different veggies available, even fruit, like someone mentioned mangoes, that could also go in a spring roll. This is great for like families, and if you've got either picky eaters or different preferences, you could leave some things out or add some things in depending on what people like. So I'm just going to go over the ingredients, make sure everyone's in here. First things first is the spring roll skins or wrappers. They can be tricky to work with, but once you get the hang of it, they're super fun, and you can find these in most grocery stores. Today, I am using tofu, and I am using uncooked tofu, which is possible, but you could also use cooked tofu. And feel free in the chat if you have like a favorite protein that you think would go in. I was thinking like shrimp. If you had leftover chicken, that would be great. Yeah, and make some suggestions if you want. So that's the tofu, and when I'm cutting that up, I'll give some tips on that. I've got some carrots and a cucumber, avocado, red cabbage, and I do have sprouts that came in a CSA that I get. So I'm going to add some of those in. Cilantro. And then, so that's for the spring rolls. And then we're going to make a dipping sauce. And I'm going to use peanut butter. I do have my big maple syrup, my big soy sauce, and I'm going to use fresh ginger and garlic. But I also have ginger powder as an option, and some pepper and maybe some chili flakes, just because I do like a little spice, and to add that in there. So I'm going to start getting going on chopping everything up. So the tofu, I'm just going to make some long slices. So this recipe is also about adding texture and variety to your food. So trying to get different textures. I'm going to set that tofu aside, super easy. So for the carrots, I'm going to shred them. And I'm curious, like, what recipes come to mind? You can share them or just think about them. That like the texture changes a lot of the experience of the dish. And this one is fun because you get these little bites of everything all together, but because they're all different sizes and different textures, it makes it really interesting and fun. All right. So setting my chopped carrots aside, or my shredded carrots. For the cucumber, I'm also going to do the cucumber more long strips. And as I'm doing this, I could also see, like, if you had family members, children, even at whatever age is appropriate, that they could be involved in the preparation. This is pretty fun, so The cucumbers are a similar size and length as my tofu strips. Gonna set those over to the side. And then for my avocado, I'm trying to use up this half of an avocado that I've had, so I'm just removing the skin. And I'm also just gonna do this long ways. So everything will kind of fit together as I roll it up. And then for the cabbage, I'm gonna shred this also, so make little shreds, but not use my shredder. This gives it a nice crunch. And I also just love getting colorful things into my meal. So as you can see, everything's pretty vibrant. And trying to get that spring energy for us all. The cilantro, I'm just gonna kind of pick it off once I roll it in. So I am ready to roll my first spring roll, and we'll do that, and then I'll do the dipping sauce. So off screen, I do have a, oh, I think I can manage to bring it on screen. So this is just a shallow dish with water in it. And sometimes I'll just do this at the sink also. You kind of have to do this one at a time. Like I said, these wrappers can be a little bit tricky. And again, if anyone's familiar with these, please leave us some tips in the comments. And I'm going to just dip it in, and I dunk it all the way in the water. And so I could do this under the faucet or just dunk it in. And then I leave it a little bit flexible. So as you can see, it's movable, but I didn't leave it in that water for too long because it will continue to soften, and I want to be able to work with it so it doesn't like stick to my counter. So I'm going to take a piece of tofu, a piece of cucumber. I'm going to put some carrots in there, and depending on, if you have a favorite, you could add more or less. I'm going to add some red cabbage in there. And then I love avocado, so I'm going to make sure each one has a good dose of avocado in there. And then I know someone suggested sesame seeds, and I actually do have some sesame seeds, so I could add those in. Fingers are a little messy with the avocado. It looks like a cheese stick. Yes, it does. I Yeah, I don't know if cheese would be good in this one, but anything's possible. So just, all right, sticking in my cilantro. So, with that time that it took me to assemble everything, the wrapper got even softer. So I like to, almost like a burrito, I'm going to turn the sides in and then pull the part that's closest to me up and over and kind of tuck everything in real tight and slowly, gently roll forward. And that way, the wrapper doesn't rip. And so, wow, you can see how cute that is. And it's ready to go. Really simple. So, all right, I'm going to just do the one for now, for time, and make our dipping sauce. So in the recipe card, I did say that it could either be not cooked at all, or you could put this on low heat for just a couple of minutes. And, if you're not a fan of raw garlic or even like the raw ginger, you could just heat that up with a little oil, and that'll take some of the pungentness, the strength out of the garlic. But I don't mind fresh garlic. I'm doing a pretty rough chop. And I'm using a dish, a little glass dish that comes with a top. So if I have any extra, I'm just going to put the top on afterwards. And then maybe tomorrow I can make more spring rolls if I've got more sauce to use. There goes the ginger or the garlic, and then the ginger. I've got fresh, so I'm gonna take a little piece. And this is about, I would say, maybe a teaspoon of each, and totally depends on your what you prefer, your taste. And ginger powder will be a little less spicy than fresh ginger. All right, that goes in the dish. Let me pull this over here. I'm going to use about like a quarter cup of peanut butter, and you could use another nut butter. If you've got allergies, you could use like tahini. There's a lot of different varieties of, anything that's kind of creamy will work for this. And then I'm going to do about probably 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And you could, if you like to eyeball things, you could forego using the measuring. And especially if you just want to keep this really simple for yourself. And then I'm going to do the same 2 teaspoons of my maple syrup. You could also use brown sugar. And if you were in a pinch, you could probably use regular sugar or a different kind of sweetener. It's just really nice with that sweet and salty flavor. All right. Give that a stir. And the liquid with the peanut butter kind of makes it a little more dippable. And you might need to adjust. Sometimes I'll add a little bit of water to this if I want it more liquefied. You could also just add a little bit more soy sauce to make it creamy. Okay, final touches, a little bit of pepper, and for heat, a little bit of these chili flakes. All right. And we'll give that a stir. And that's really it. So as you can see, it's not a super long process. Mixing up the textures and the shapes of the filling ingredients can be fun. And then we've got a really simple snack, or they don't keep super well, but I have made them the day before and brought them for lunch the next day. You just have to be careful because they will stick together. And since I have 1 more minute, I'm going to make 1 more spring roll. Freshly made tofu, very different flavor. Yeah, I'll look back through the comments, but a little trick with the tofu that I have found is I freeze the tofu and then I, leave it in the freezer for as long as I need to. And when I'm ready, I'll pull it out in the morning or the day before. And then I will, once it's thawed, I'll squeeze out all the water, and that makes it more firm. And I like firm tofu. There's lots of different soft tofu, and that's your preference. But I found, like, if you like a little meatier of a texture, then the firm tofu is great. All right, so again, pulling up the sides and then drawing the back part forward, tucking everything in, And you don't have to be super delicate, but just gentle and then rolling it forward. So super easy. And I hope I hope you like the recipe and give it a try. Today's not the warmest day that we've had yet, but it's coming. And so this is a great warm weather, springy summer recipe for you to try. And I'm just gonna stop recording and then I will take a look at the chat. And if anyone has any questions, I will do my best to answer.